Welcome to the Errata Sonata. I'm Noah,
And I'm Ian.
and we are your hosts today. What are we doing today?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out as we go. I've been tinkering. I've been tinker-totting, as the youth say. Am I too old to call myself youth anymore?
I think so, yes. 38? Yeah.
I'm not 38.
42? Yeah, I think you're a little old, man.
I'm noticing my age a lot more than I used to.
Because you have a beard now?
Well, not just that, but that does
For
influence
the
it.
viewers that don't know, Ian never used to have facial hair.
Yes, I hated it. I hated facial hair.
And then he came back from Japan and said, I'm a beard man now.
I said, well, you know what it was? Is I was 3 weeks into not shaving, and I was like, well, I've committed too far. I'll never see my face again.
Well, you know what's weird to me? Is I never saw you with a beard.
No. Oh, you never thought I would look good with it?
No. Just you already have white hair in your beard.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not saying it's not a bad thing. It's just like I never saw you with a beard and you grew one and then you're just like, I'm Moses now.
Yeah, so I've talked about this a little bit with you before, but my mom had a full head of gray hair at 18. And my whole family like turns gray really quickly.
Nice.
But I think my dad's held it off for us a little bit because he lost all of his hair. So I'm just fighting between those two sides.
You're like a silver fox is what they call you.
Well, right now I'm in my I'm definitely in my best era I'm going to get for hair life. But I can only see it going downhill from here.
Yeah, that's how I describe life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to introduce the audience to this world, but I know I'm so excited for you to lose your hair. That's what I'm looking for more than anything else in my life.
For me to lose my hair?
Yeah,
Why?
because you have such a unique head.
You're a mean person. I'm gonna cut those things out of me. I'm growing horns.
Yeah,
in case anybody's
You
curious.
got natural. He's a bonky head.
I'm a bonky head. No, I just have some benign cysts on my head. They're not technically cysts, I don't think, but they're like.
Well, I've never seen anyone else like you before, and I'm just fascinated by it conceptually. That you get a couple of golf balls.
Eric has them too.
I know.
It runs in my family. It's genetic.
Yeah, natural golfers.
Yeah, exactly. Did I tell you the story of Eric's mom?
No, what
Who
happened?
just decided she hated them? There's like growths
What, she was gonna
on her
fucking
heads.
start bashing them in like they're whack-a-moles?
No, she got a knife and cut it open.
No, really.
Because they were like, it's going to be $800 to remove that. So she's like, I can do it myself. Cuts it open, gets infected. Guess what? Surgery to fix it because it's infected? Free.
Oh,
Easy life hack. So that is currently the trajectory that I'm
so any
on.
audience members out there with some lumpy ass heads, get infected.
Get infected.
That's our professional opinion.
I maybe about a year ago, I had like a little growth on my finger, like a wart.
Okay.
And I went to the doctors and they were like, you would have to pay to remove this. If it was on your foot or your genitals, it'd be free.
Put your hand near your genitals, see what happens.
But they said, because it's a public health issue. But for some reason, your hands is not like
Which is so exposed to the public. Your hands touch everything.
Exactly. I don't understand the feet. And the feet is because they're like public showers, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Genitals is because like, everyone's out there getting freaky with every person they meet on the streets.
Of course.
Hands, I have never touched something that someone else has touched. I'll tell you that right now. That is just a fact of life.
Well, I think the main thing is the context with which you're touching people, because the issue with warts on feet is that it's in wet, humid places where you're touching. So it increases the likelihood of infection. I think the argument is that your hands aren't touching things while they're wet and humid as frequently.
That's what you think.
That's true. I don't know what you're doing with your hands.
You haven't seen me play Digimon.
Oh man, a lot of the smashers I used to play with like had gross sweaty hands, and it's like when somebody has gross sweaty hands, the last thing you want to do after you play them is shake their hand or even fist bump them because they're drenched through. But I didn't want to be known as the bad etiquette player, so every time I
Just say you have a wart.
Yeah, that's what I should have said. I should have said, sorry, it's a public health hazard. I said, would you like to touch my genitals?
You could touch my dick instead.
No, I promise I wouldn't bring up my penis on this episode.
I don't even know how we got here. I just wanted to not talk about the horns I'm growing. No, I don't want to be bald. That's one of my biggest fears. Not really one of my biggest fears, but I like my hair. I used to have like
Luscious locks.
luscious locks. A lot of maybe OG Digimon players will know this if they ever saw me at Gen Con.
Yeah, you look like a hippie.
I had very long hair, like halfway down my back, and it's very curly. But I've cut it short, and I'm just constantly afraid that I'm gonna lose my hair. I don't want to be. I don't want to be the classic gamer stereotype, you know?
Like no, none of the important hair on the top of your head. Smelly. What else are you worried about?
Neck beard.
Neck beard. I'm working on it.
What else? Slurs.
Yeah.
You know, because once you start.
You think once you lose the hair on top of your head, like that's keeping in the slurs?
Yes.
It's, like a little...
It's the lock that protects your tongue from lashing out. Your brain gets rewired when you lose your hair, probably.
Probably,
Sure.
I would imagine.
I don't want to because I'm scared. I'm scared of any procedure, like health procedure.
Yeah.
But I would definitely get plugs.
Yeah. I looked into it because like my brother has no hair on top of his head. He had cancer when he was, I want to say when he was 18, and after that his hair just never grew back. And we talked about him going to Turkey, which is where they do the majority of hair, like good successful hair transplants, because they do a number of hair transplants that is like considered medically questionable in North America, but it does a much better job of getting like the hair to actually grow on your head. It's just that, you know, that wherever they're taking the hair from, I guess it's a little bit more damaging. So your ass might look weird, or wherever they get the hair from.
I actually can't talk about this anymore.
Oh, really?
It's actually making me uncomfortable. I don't know if you know this. I feel like I've said this before. I'm very squeamish. I'm not good at talking about stuff.
Well, for our audience, because there's an anecdote I wanted to share. So cover your ears if you have to.
All right, I'm gonna cover my ears and say la la la.
Okay, well, don't say la la la. But I was gonna say my brother specifically asked if he would be allowed to take the hairs off of his ass and put it on his head, because he said it's a forest back there, and they said it's one of the most common requests that they get for hair transplants in Turkey, and every time they have to say no because it will look awful. Get your hands out.
All right, I'm done fingering my ears.
Dude, that's how you get warts.
Plugging them wasn't enough. I had to create like an in and out motion to make noise.
So you did not hear my story.
I didn't hear it at all.
All right. Well, the audience will be intrigued.
For a long time as a child, I wasn't okay with people saying the word flesh around me.
Just you didn't like the noise of it?
No, just it made me think of like cuts or like injuries, and it just made me squeamish.
Really? That made you that squeamish, eh?
Yeah. I was just a weird kid.
You are kind of a weird guy. You're very sensitive about things that I don't think people will be sensitive about.
Like, not sensitive like, wah. Like, sensitive like, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing.
No, it's not.
You don't think it's sensitive to be like, I feel uncomfortable and I'm unable to hear this? Like, there's two different forms of sensitivity.
That's what I mean. It's two different forms. You said it's the same thing.
Yeah, because, okay, fine. They're two different intensities of the same thing.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like when you say sensitive, when you say you're sensitive about things that people aren't normally sensitive about, it makes it sound like I'm sensitive about like having big feet or small hands.
Sure.
You know? But what you really mean is like, I can't hear certain things because they gross me out.
I think those are the same, but
one is like emotionally sensitive and one has nothing to do with my emotions.
it's okay. Don't worry about it. Stop being so sensitive.
You don't worry about it, idiot.
Okay. All right.
We're missing our lightning rod.
Our lightning rod?
Yes, we need a third person to pick up all the.
Well, maybe
hatred.
next episode we might have that lightning rod.
Next webisode.
Next webisode. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have come to accept the fact that like we have a lot of conversations when we hang out on these days that we meet up to record. And then I have to force myself to not talk about the stuff that we spent the last like 3 hours talking about. Because does the audience care that you're having a bunch of stomach problems and you're eating way too much?
Okay, whoa.
Hold up.
Relax. I'm not having stomach problems. We just ate half a pizza, approximately.
Yeah.
Each. I was starving still.
Yeah.
Because Ian was like not feeding me. I come all the way to his house,
I
a
offered to
million
make
miles
you dinner.
away.
I said we don't need to order in food. I'll make you pasta. And you said that's not good enough. Order me pizza.
Yeah, and then guess what? Not enough pizza. So then I had to go walk down the street, get a burger and a milkshake, eat it lightning quick because Ian was talking to me about how slow I was eating.
Actually, I will give you this. You ate that pizza very efficiently.
Because I was starving, man.
Well, maybe that's how you have to eat more often.
And now I'm sitting here thinking about how hungry I am.
Well, you got to get through one recording and then you can have your third dinner of the night.
I can't believe how hungry I am right now. I've never gone through this. Never ever. And I'm sitting here thinking like after I ate the burger, we tried going to the gas station nearby to get some
this
cup of
was
noodles.
weird. They wouldn't let us in. Like,
No, the doors were locked and the guy's like, first of all, I could barely understand the guy.
yeah.
Because not only was he talking through a window, but also there was some accent. And he's like, what do you want?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we just wanted to like buy some snacks. He says, I'll get them for you.
We're like, we don't know what you have. Can we come in and look? And he's like, no, it's not safe. And it's like, it's 11. It's 11 p.m. in a nice area. And we're too cold. You know what? Maybe it's the beard. Maybe he thought I looked like a street tough.
We don't look like tough guys. I'm clean shaven, mostly.
You are not clean shaven, but also
mostly.
And also, I'm saying I could be a tough guy. I'm intimidating.
I look like a little baby. Ian looks like somebody you could push over with a light breeze.
Yeah.
This guy looked like he had a dual barrel shotgun under the counter.
I actually was thinking that to myself, that like while we were there, do convenience store owners in Canada have guns very often?
No.
Because like in the U.S., that's like the meme that like they always have a gun in the back.
In Canada, like gun laws are much more restrictive.
Well, I know they're a lot more restrictive, but like, I don't know. I just absentmindedly wondering that to myself that like if I was gonna fucking take one between the eyes because
I'll tell you right now, the answer is no. If you apply for a gun license and you check one of the boxes as like you want a gun for self-defense, immediately denied.
Yeah.
As soon as you say it's for protection or self-defense, you are denied the gun license. It is strictly here are the reasons you're allowed a gun: hunting and shooting paper targets.
Yeah.
Or collecting.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Because my brother, the bald one, he has his gun license and he collects a bunch of old guns. And who knows? Maybe he also has unlocked his other gamer cred. He might be dropping gamer words without me knowing. But I know that when he got his license in the first place, he had to be like, I am a collector and I would never desecrate a gun by firing it.
Yeah, but he truly believes that.
No, he doesn't believe that at all.
Oh.
He just had to lie. He just had to be like,
oh, well, the way you said I would never desecrate a gun by firing it sounded like, yes, truly, the beauty of guns. They never deserve to be
the
fired.
platonic ideal. I just want a boomstick that never booms.
Exactly. A boom boom.
A boom boom.
All right, so your one
Do
brother's
American
the bald
listeners,
one.
Sorry, this is so unrelated. Did you watch Zaboomafoo as a kid?
Yes.
All right, that's it.
Lemur.
I like that little guy.
Lemur.
Is that a Canadian thing or
Me
is that
and you and Zaboomafoo. It was a great show.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Wow, you're just hitting me with some hard facts. Is Treehouse a Canadian thing or is that like a North American thing?
Well, the thing is, it might be like Teletoon, where like it has a bunch of American content, even though it's like a Canadian branding.
But Teletoon is Canadian?
Teletoon is Canadian, yeah.
Wow, truth bombs raining down on me left and right. What about YTV?
No, YTV is everywhere.
Okay, and so is Nickelodeon then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is Cartoon Network.
And Disney Channel is...
Disney's... Did you know that Disney's Mr. Worldwide? He goes everywhere.
No.
Yeah.
Like Pitbull?
Yeah, like Pitbull.
What? What do you mean he's Mr. Worldwide?
I just meant like it's not just a Canadian thing. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm sorry. You're this tuned into Pitbull facts that when I say Mr. Worldwide, you immediately knew it was Pitbull?
Yeah.
Why?
That's the only thing I know about Pitbull, is that he's Mr. Worldwide. I couldn't name a Pitbull song.
I couldn't either. But the only thing I know about Pitbull is that he had like an internet contest where he got told to go to like some middle of nowhere town. And unlike all the other internet contests that happened like that, he actually showed up. And he's like, I'm going to host a concert for this town of 1,000 people and just hang out.
Here's what I know about Pitbull. He's Mr. Worldwide and he's bald.
Do you think he's racist?
I think he's white.
That's not what I meant. Although I think that's like a whole thing, like where people talk about like what is Pitbull's race.
I have no clue.
It's okay. We're not going to get into this. This one's not making the cut.
All right, today we'll be doing a deep dive into Pitbull's race. Hold on to your seats, everybody.
No, today we're actually going to be doing a deep dive into something that we've tickled on a couple times, which is, I'd say, color identity adjacent. Because I want to talk about keywords, because there's a list of keywords for every color that are unique to each color. And I think there's a list of keywords in the Digimon card game that are almost never allowed to mix. And I think those are really where we start to see how color identity presents itself, and also presents some pretty interesting ways that the game could change by allowing keywords to mix that have thus far been firmly split apart.
Yes, we've segregated them.
Yes, exactly. I mean, for a long time, just to jump in with a big one, Raid and Retaliation I thought would never be together.
And now we have it on a $40 promo.
No, it's not. What?
I don't think it's 40. It might be like 30.
It's not 30.
Oh yeah, man. The promos from that set are
I got mine for 12.
really.
Yeah.
I paid 25 each. I got 2 back when I thought I was gonna play Anubis.
Yeah, we're talking about Saber Dramon, by the way.
Saber Dramon is a purple red bird
Bird.
with Raid Retaliation.
Yes, it's very good. I have 2 of them, and I got the 2 of them for $25.
Yeah, that's a steal of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, the Mississauga community is pretty good.
When did you get them?
6 weeks ago.
A weird way, like not a month and a half, 6 weeks ago. Yeah, that is. I think maybe you picked them up on like a small decline. Because I'm looking it up right now, fellow people. Oh wow, $11. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you just got scammed.
Well, no, I bought them right when they came out
Oh, well, yeah, they were high.
from a local store, so they are scam artists.
Ugh, paying HST on fucking Digimon cards?
Also conversion, also premium of being a local store. But regardless, $11. That's not that bad. Raid retail, pretty good combination of effects. There aren't many other ways for you to attack an unsuspended Digimon with Retaliation.
I think the only other way is one that we've talked about recently, which is the EX1 Miotis package, which is restricted to level 4s and below.
And that's with the level 5 Myotismon.
If the level 5 Myotismon's inheritable, and it gives it to every card that you have with Retaliation, they gain the ability to swing into unsuspended level 4s and below.
Yep. Obviously, Raid is a little bit better than that because you can swing into level 6s.
Yes, it's a very good ability. So let's talk about our colors and their primary keywords, because I think that would be a great starting point.
Okay. Where do you want to start? What color?
Let's start with our favorite color, red.
Red.
Okay. So red's exclusives are Raid.
Yep.
Is it just Raid? Are you serious?
Yeah.
They don't have anything else?
No.
Wow, okay. That's a short list. What's blue? What's blue got?
Evade.
Evade is unique. Obviously, by the way, there are effects that are like common. Like blue commonly has unsuspend, but it doesn't mean it's an exclusive.
Well, are we talking about keywords right now?
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's not technically fine. It frequently has draw. Technically a keyword. Technically
so does, I thought we were talking about exclusive stuff.
All right, let's talk about exclusive. We recently got a new blue one, which is just announced.
Which is tingling us. This is the reason we want to talk about keywords.
This is a sick ability. What's the exact name of it? It's
Ice Suit.
Ice Suit.
Honey, where is my ice suit?
And it is essentially, there's not really a great comparison. It modifies your DP is how you can think of it for battle.
Well, it changes the rules of the battle. So things that wouldn't be affected by your effects, you're not affecting them. You're just changing the rules of the battle.
Oh, so that's actually how it functions. Okay.
Which is what makes it so much more interesting. Because it's like, all right, when we attack, throw out the classic.
Let's say exactly what it does.
Okay. When you enter battle with non-security Digimon, any Digimon that's not in security, instead of comparing DP, you compare number of sources.
Which is so cool for blue.
Yes.
Blue has not had a good source strip like keyword in a minute.
Ever,
yeah. I guess in terms of actual keywords, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of actual keywords, never have they had a source strip keyword. This is really cool, especially because blue doesn't have a lot of ways to, at least when it comes to Source Strip, they don't have a lot of ways to up their DP to swing over stuff. Now suddenly we have a way to deal with huge bodies.
Okay, so that's two very good ones with blue. Anything else that we're missing before I move on?
No.
That's it for blue. Okay.
If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments.
Yeah, we'll figure it out as we go.
Like
All
and
right.
subscribe.
We can go over to yellow next.
Barrier.
Barrier is very good. Barrier and Ice Suit are two ways that are helping to modify deletion by battle.
Kind of. I would say they're very different. Barrier kind of falls more along the lines of evade, or it's protection. Whereas Ice Suit is... there's nothing really comparable to Ice Suit.
No, I actually do think the closest is talking about retaliation, where it's like changing the rules of how battle will end.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's just barrier.
I mean, technically
there's a lot of effects, but like I'm not talking about DP minus, sec minus. Like those are technically effects that are very unique to yellow, but those aren't necessarily keywords of yellow.
Yeah. Well, sec minus is pretty much a keyword of yellow, I think. I don't know if there's any other colors outside of yellow that do it. Recovery, there are a couple cards outside of yellow that recover.
Okay.
But by and large.
But by and large is a yellow keyword.
I think there's maybe 4 or 5 cards.
Yeah.
Outside of yellow that recover. And I would say recovery is a lot more of a relevant keyword than a sec minus. Because sec minus is a keyword, but the whole...
It's really a curse. It's like... most of the keywords that we're talking about are really affecting my Digimon. Sec minus is something affecting my opponent. And likewise, recovery is something that affects the overall game state, but doesn't actually affect my Digimon itself. What we're really trying to focus in on is what effects are affecting my Digimon itself. So having raid is materially changing that Digimon. Recovering one is not changing that individual Digimon.
I agree. I just don't want people to stick too much on affecting your own Digimon, because obviously retaliation.
Yeah, we're getting okay. Let's talk about purple. That's perfect. So purple has retaliation.
Yep.
Is more or less exclusive to us.
I think entirely exclusive.
Entirely exclusive? Good for us.
Good for purple.
Good for us. We deserve it.
And purple is getting scapegoat.
Yeah, which is interesting. Like a new decoy is how I think of it.
Kind of like better decoy.
Yeah, it is. But there's already been better decoy in black.
Yeah, they quickly decided decoy was bad.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could have estimated that at the gate.
Well, because originally it was mistranslated for us too, where you were going to be able to use it in battle, which would have made it a lot better. Green as
Digizorb.
Digizorb. Not a lot of it. It doesn't have a lot of
but we talked about this before. Digizorb is an effect that the moment it appeared, it defined green because it becomes so staple so quickly.
Green also has sole access to fortitude.
Yeah, I think that is it. We'll do a look at the end just to make sure. We'll do a tally. And then finally that leaves us with, I don't think there's anything for white, so just black left.
Collision.
Can you remind me what Collision's effect is?
Collision's effect gives your opponent's Digimon blocker, and then they have to block.
That's possible. Right. It's like a taunt effect.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, forcing battle. Okay, this is a good actual list of abilities. There's obviously stuff like D-Digivolve, as we mentioned, Sec minus. These are impacts on your opponent's Digimon, but I think that's a pretty good comprehensive list on the keywords that are exclusive to decks and their colors. And I think it does help show us what they're trying to actually do with these colors and what kind of identity they're trying to give them. Raid is very clearly encouraging battle. It is allowing you to measure your DP against your opponent's DP, even if they don't want to turn sideways. On the other hand, evade and barrier are huge forms of protection, just sort of mitigating that, doing the exact opposite side of what raid and collision are performing. I actually think that retaliation is kind of one of the funniest ones without a clear analog, just because it is... On paper, retaliation is just like, here's some pity points. Oh, you died. You have to lose a Digimon, but here you go. Why don't you get a kill anyways?
I do feel most often when I think of Ice Suit as the best analog to Retal.
Yeah.
Just because in general, when you look at it, you think how can I swing? How can I kill a big guy with a small guy?
Yeah.
And you're not really getting that with Raid.
I said to you in DMs that the best thing that could ever happen for Ice Suit is if they release Saber Dramon in blue with Ice Suit.
So Raid, Retail, and Ice Suit.
Sorry, you know what I mean. Ice Suit Raid would be an insane combination. That said, Saber Dramon definitely gets a benefit from being purple because I don't want to say it, but it's very close to being that Rush is a purple keyword.
Yeah, it's not technically, but purple has a lot of access to Rush.
Yeah.
Probably the most access.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, blue doesn't really have it. Oh, I guess, blue flare exists.
Blue Flare does exist, and it's very annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also things that, we kind of have skirted around things because attributing it to keywords is definitely limiting. Freeze is obviously an effect for blue. Digivolve is an effect. Sekmai is an effect.
Yeah, there's lots of effects, but then it just becomes too complicated because keywords are easy to define, whereas Greymon X's Inheritable is essentially Digiburst, which was a keyword.
Yes.
But then they just decided to not use a keyword for it. And there's lots of effects like that which are either very similar to a keyword or just very similar to another effect, but slightly different. And I mean, that's the game, right? It's just a series of effects.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to say, okay, these keywords are more or less exclusive to these colors.
So let's try and draw some conclusions from what we're seeing here. Because what I would say is pretty explicitly, they're showing we want red to be offensive with Raid. We want it to do battle offensively. Collision.
I don't even know how to describe collision. It's such,
It's such an abnormal thing. I think it's kind of trying to achieve the same thing, but with another hat. I actually think that it's in a lot of ways worse Raid.
Yeah, because they have more of a choice behind it.
Yeah, they have multiple Digimon on field, and they can at least pick and choose what they're choosing to sacrifice in the battle. But then again, obviously, Raid is limited to what it can actually target.
But there is those times where it's like, maybe you're playing a blue-black deck. Maybe you love Vikemon.
I do love Vikemon.
And maybe you've got collision, but you've also stunned them. And so you go to collide, but they can't block. Whereas you don't have that issue with Raid.
Yeah, that's true. There is technically ways that you can punish yourself out of being able to use that mechanic. I do think that when I think of collision, to me, it's definitely Raid with another hat. And in the same way with Raid, the moment I pair either one of those abilities with Retaliation or Ice Suit, I think you're cooking. I think those are combinations that I'm very excited to see expanded on more, which means that Black Blue and Red Blue both have a lot of potential with this Ice Suit appearing, if Collision keeps getting support.
I think Red Blue could be such a cool combo if it wasn't almost entirely relegated to Omnimon. This is a topic for another podcast.
Okay.
Red and blue just don't mesh like red and yellow do, or red and black, blue and yellow.
Because you're saying that they don't have enough synergistic cards?
Just what they accomplish isn't as synergistic as what other colors accomplish, right? Because, with yellow, if you DP minus, if you reduce their DP, and then you hit them with DP threshold deletions, that's a lot more synergistic than, making them unable to attack and then deleting them. Or bouncing them in the hand and then deleting them.
I will say I was always surprised why blue and purple did not get abilities that treated their opponent's level as lower than what it is, for the purposes of targeting. Because it feels like blue and blue and purple are in this weird binary where either my opponent's Digimon is level 5 or below, or it's not. And then therefore my effects are just not going to hit them. Or whatever my threshold is for an individual ability.
Yeah. Bounce the security then. We're going to be a little all over the place. There's so much I want to talk to.
Sure.
Mirage bouncing a security, if it is unable to bounce something, that is so good.
Yeah.
I want to see that more often, where do X effect if you cannot do Y effect. Because that is how any deck is going to survive in this current landscape. the part of the reason Gallantmon has such a rough time is if it can't do its deletion, then it gets nothing for it. So we need to see more effects that say, do this. If you can't, get this other benefit. Because otherwise, decks just aren't going to be able to keep up with where we're currently at.
I agree, but those multifaceted mechanics are extremely powerful, and I think they're a little bit wary to add too many more of them. Because like having your worst case scenario still be a very strong effect means that your opponent essentially does not have a lot of counterplay to get around your good effects. Do you just not want your opponents to have like outs? Like you just want them to have like, my card should be good regardless of what my opponent has?
I don't feel that way. But what I do feel is that the problem is that a lot of the best decks don't have to commit to board in the first place. So if you have no outs to them being in breeding, and them being in breeding is not only beneficial for them because you can't target them, but it's also detrimental to you, not just because you can't delete them, but because you also no longer get any bonuses from it or benefits. It's like whipped cream. It's a whipped cream and cherry on top, And so every time I see an effect such as Ice Suit, I say, how is this going to help you against Lugamon or Mirage Galgamon, where all they're doing is raising up and swinging for all your checks in one go?
Well, there's an inherent issue, which, I was going to point it out, but the big four that we've been talking about, Raid, Collision, Retaliation, Ice Suit, are entirely dependent on my opponent having a Digimon on field right now. Otherwise, they are functionally non-keywords. I'm vanilla.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit funny for it to be a thing.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the thing.
Okay.
If you get rid of Ukomon, there's going to be even less stuff on board. We have to keep Ukomon if we want stuff to be on board.
So you're coming out pro Ukomon.
I'll be the brave person to say it.
In 2024, you're coming out as pro Ukomon.
We need Ukomon in our lives.
It's good. I kind of, me and Noah were talking about this earlier, and you are kind of right that Ukomon enables these decks. A ton of decks get enabled by Ukomon. Is that a bad thing? That's the question that you were asking. And I'm thinking about it more and more. It's like, maybe it's not a bad thing. Venom Myotismon existing because it can run 8 Ukomons is like, well, the alternative is it just can't exist at all. It is definitely bringing a bad deck into minor relevance instead of no relevance.
I'm not an aggro head.
Yeah.
I don't pick up a game and immediately say, all right, give me the cheapest things you can. I'm going to swing with all of them as fast as possible. That's not how I play the game. But I'm also not a fan of, let me get up to my Mega in the back, raise up, do all the checks, call it a day. And if we don't have some kind of strong aggression strategy to keep those breeding, raise up, OTK strategies in check, then that's just how we end up with those BT9 metas.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely is increasing the speed of the game to just, dummy in, turn sideways. And maybe you're right. Maybe we just do need a little bit of that gas. My main thing is that Ukomon, the promo, is also giving a lot of memory, and it's not only is it fast in terms of aggression, it's so efficient as a card that I'm struggling to not run it right now with it being the only Ukomon available. And then we're going to get another Ukomon, which is going to be a consistency piece.
I don't think you're struggling to not run it. I think there are a lot of decks that can utilize it, but I don't think you're struggling to not run it. Would you play Ukomon in Mirage Galgamon? The answer is no. Ian doesn't play Mirage, but the answer is no.
Yes.
Would you play Ukomon in Wargreymon?
Probably not.
No. Would you play it in your Megazoo deck? Your Omni Turbo?
I would not.
You could maybe play it in Divas, but you probably wouldn't. Would you play it in?
I get your I get your point. You have a lot of decks that you don't necessarily think it would be appropriate for. That said, there's so many decks that it's just an easy slottable staple.
And the decks that you're talking about are decks that don't have enough support, so it's an easy slottable staple, which I think is a good thing. I think the fact that Ukomon can bring so many decks to life like this is a good thing. And the fact that decks that already have overwhelming amounts of support can't utilize it, even better.
But we're also getting into an issue that we talked about before of like this does lead to a bit of the degradation of color identity and deck identity. If I'm going to just say, here's all these tier 2 decks, let me slap on some Ukomons and some trainings, and now
Yeah, but 8 Ukomons at most. Like, obviously, right now, I think 4 Ukomon, that's fine. That's good. I like it. 8 Ukomon, we're getting into some iffy territory, but I definitely think that even with 8 Ukomon, I don't think that ruins the deck identity. I definitely think that decks are still, the decks that these Ukomons are going in are still very, very different from one another. I don't think Yellow Hybrid would be what it is today without Ukomons.
no, definitely not.
Whereas stuff like Red Hybrid, Numemon, Magnamon, let's say, if you're running the aggro Vmon version in BT16.
Yeah,
These
they
decks-
still would exist.
Exactly. But stuff like Belphamon, which is utilizing Ukomon, probably not.
Yeah,
I mean, it barely exists
I think
now.
it would be dead right now if not for Ukomon.
And I think a lot of decks would be just kind of dead in the water without Ukomon. And is that what we want? Do we want the game to be so tribal that you can't have Ukomons in a bunch of decks that don't otherwise have an option?
I guess so. I get what you're going for. I guess it's difficult because it's representing a big spike in aggression for decks that were otherwise very setup oriented. Maybe that's not a bad thing, but it's definitely hard to get accustomed to at first. That's exactly how it is. Noah's got some a look on his face.
I'm just thinking about how deep we want to get into this because
Well, let's hone back in on what I want to talk about, because what I was trying to say was we've got 4 effects. We've got 4 keywords that are very dependent on my opponent having a Digimon on field: Raid, Collision, Ice Suit, Retaliation, and then we've got 3 effects that are designed to provide protection, which is Evade, Barrier, Scapegoat. And then Green's got Digisorption, but we're going to ignore him for right now because that's kind of a special, unique guy.
Fortitude's kind of like protection.
Fortitude's also kind of like protection. So let's say we've got 4 and 4. I think that those keywords are helping to represent that what the game is trying to do is encourage more game field interaction with your opponent. Because there's a bunch of additions to interact with your opponent's field and a bunch of ways to protect your Digimon on field. And I feel a lot better about those effects than I do about, let's say, Magnamon X.
Let's let the viewers know what we were doing tonight.
Okay.
We were watching Japanese nationals
Okay.
of figure skating.
You know what? It's funny that the Yuri on Ice movie just got canceled, and Julia is. I actually don't know if she's heard about it yet. I need to talk to her about this, because it's been very many years of promised development and just got announced cancellation yesterday. And now I don't know what the fuck happened with it. It's such an insanely successful property that is just dead in the water. And then figure skating world as a whole has one piece of media that's good, and then a story about Tanya Harding, and then the rest of the world does not care about figure skating.
Well, neither do I, because I was joking about figure skating. We watched Japanese nationals of Digimon, and Ian got to see Magnamon X in action, because I don't think you've really
I'm not seeing it in action. I was confused. I said 3 colors?
That's not allowed. And you also saw some serious Numemon on Numemon action.
Yeah, because we started on this with me asking how good was Numemon in Japan. And so we decided to watch their nationals.
So we got to see BT16 Ukomon in the deck and Valkyremon, which are 2 big factors in the deck.
Noah thought that Valkyremon was a second Ruin mode, and I was like, I don't think that's that good, right?
No, I think lingering DP minus is so powerful, such as Monzai X and Ruin mode, obviously. And so I thought Valkyremon was insane. It's less good than I thought. Still good.
It's still not bad. I mean, if your opponent's bringing out Ukomons, you're just saying, hey, that's free. That's free removal.
But it was just entertaining to watch, and it was we got to do play-by-plays and analyze what we thought was going on. You know, neither of us have a deep knowledge of the Japanese language, so there were some things that maybe we didn't quite understand. It did seem like one of the players scooped.
Yeah, there was a very abnormal scoop moment. We think it may have been a timeout, but I mean, listen, I'm not about to go analyze the footage in greater detail. We're watching it while we were eating dinner.
It was also unfortunately best of one, which
Very swingy.
very swingy. I will say none of the games were blowouts, which was nice to watch. None of them were I bricked and
Well, hold on. You say none of them were blowouts. One of them did end on like turn 3.
Yeah, but the other player didn't brick. He just got outplayed.
He just got Ukomon Louied
He got
3 times in 3 turns.
There was a double Louis for game.
It was so gross.
It was Rapid X gain 2 memory. Platinum Numemon gain 2 memory. Oh, I have 6 memory. How convenient.
Ukomon Louis.
Yeah, not even that you needed 6 memory for 2 Louis because you gain the memory, so it really only cost 2. But it was pretty aggressive. But I wouldn't say that it was a blowout. But what I meant when I said blowout was just that one person just didn't have anything playable. The closest the closest game we saw to that was like the Leviamon, and I think that's part of the nature of Numemon, and to a lesser degree Magnamon X. Not needing to see that full stack helps a lot, right? You don't say, "Oh, I'm missing a 3-4-5, can't do anything. Guess we'll just sit here and get slapped in the face by little little Numemons, little Ukomons." But I think, Numemon as a deck is very strong. I like decks that play to the board because when 2 people are playing to the board, that's when you're going to get the most back and forth.
Yeah.
As opposed to waiting in the back for the right moment to come up and swing for all your checks. And you don't really care what the other person is doing on board.
You fundamentally want to create a little bit of vulnerability on your own board for bigger reward because that's what makes for an interesting game state.
The more the designers can encourage and reward playing to board, the happier I will be.
Well, that's my pitch. That's my pitch of what I think. That's what I think that they want to do. I think that these 8 keywords that we've laid out, ignoring Digisorption, are all attempts to get people to play to board more. They're trying to say, hey, get your cards out here. We'll give them some additional effects while they're live. We'll maybe give them a little bit of protection. And there's a lot of effects that are, budget versions of this. Budget protection that isn't on a keyword. And
well, you know what? I was just thinking about the fact that the best protections aren't on keywords.
Almost exclusively, yeah. Because if it's on if they defined it on a keyword, it has to be underscaled enough that it can be generically added to like more decks ongoing. If it's just
Magnamon
X, they can't just give that a keyword, or what they're just doing is saying like, oh, we're going to make staple, ignoring every kind of removal in the game.
I would love to see that keyword, immune.
I mean, what we could get, and like the closest analog is Shroud in Magic. It can't be targeted. And I think that that's very possible that we could can be affected by blanket effects, but can't be targeted by specific effects.
And I'm fine with that. We had that in Magic. I don't think it actually had a keyword, but it just said can't be targeted by hero powers or spells.
In Hearthstone.
In Hearthstone. What did I say?
You said in Magic.
I meant in Hearthstone. It's 3 a.m. here.
It's not.
It's not, but my
you like
brain,
to lie to them a lot.
They don't know what's going on. I can lie to them so freely.
Okay.
I have 8 Mirage on field at the moment. In Hearthstone, they had that. It wasn't a keyword, but it would be hit by AoE abilities. And I think that's much more reasonable because then you also have this kind of mix of, okay, we got some single target removal, we got some AoE removal. That's nice. There's not just cards that say, don't even bother thinking that I exist because you can't do anything about me. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to live here and there's nothing you can do. And that's not cool. That's not what I look for in a card game. If I wanted that, I'd literally just play solitaire.
Yeah.
I'd literally just play with cards by myself. And That's not what I want. I want to play cards with another person. And I don't want to see. I mean, I talk about how I want to make the game unfun for them because I want to stun them and I want to freeze them and I don't want them to be able to put anything on board. But I want them to do that to me too. Because that's the game, going back and forth. And I mentioned Japan Nationals didn't really feel like either side was a blowout. It's not fun for me if I brick. It's not fun for me if my opponent bricks. I don't feel like we got a game in.
I mean, that's so much why I get excited. Well, I got excited when we normalized mulligans. Because I don't want to have dead games. I think it's not good for either player, and it really sucks.
Yeah, it's not, for me, it's not fun. It's not what I want out of the game. Because again, if I just wanted to play cards while you sat there and drew every turn and didn't have anything to play, I just would play by myself. I wouldn't go out and make time to play with other people. And that's what I want out of this card game. And that's why I hope that these keywords and Ukomons, they encourage and reward playing the field and saying, I have to be vulnerable right now so you can do something. And when you react, you're going to be vulnerable and I can do something. And round and round and round we go. But instead, it kind of looks like they said, hey, we want you to play the board. Let's make you immune to all effects, which is, in my opinion, not the way to go about it.
I mean, it's definitely an unfortunate extreme. I will add to this that we have probably the biggest example of rewarding to playing the field, which has kind of been a defining element of the game for the last few sets and for the next few sets, which is aces. Aces are another piece of the puzzle of, hey, Bandai is trying to reward you to play the field. What I'm scared about, and I've been talking about since aces were dropped, and what I'm scared about because of a recent teaser, is we are going to get Susanomon Ace. And I am a little bit scared of the introduction of hybrid aces.
So you're scared of everything, you little big baby.
I'm scared of the idea that we are introducing a strong alternative to having to play the field while still having the power of ace effects. And I don't want that to become a normalized thing.
You have to have 10 cards.
If it's the same as the old Susano.
Yeah, well, we're assuming it is, right? Because you're digivolving off a Tamer. It might not be able to digivolve with a Tamer.
Yeah, that would be better. It would be better if it's digivolve ace off of any hybrid, which I think is more possible. At least then you have to have a Digimon.
You know, I didn't watch Frontier. I just read through the whole synopsis one day on my lunch break.
I hate that you do this. Don't even tell me about this.
But why do you think that Susano would ace off of a hybrid?
I don't know. I didn't read the synopsis.
Well, exactly. See, you could have read the synopsis and you would know.
All right. Well, my thought is just that he seems like he is... from the card game, my understanding is that he goes off of every color.
Because he's a mix of all the spirits.
He's a mix of everyone. So yeah, so he could... I guess I'm thinking of him as becoming Mega Gargomon for hybrids.
Well, no, it's more like Emperor Greymon is 5 of them, and Magna Garurumon is the other 5, and then they come together and make Susano. So I could see it like if it's
that's
not just
part of why like 10 is an important number.
Exactly.
For him.
So if it's not off of just like if it's not like the old effect where it's off of a Tamer, put 10 to the bottom, then it's more likely to be off of like Magna or Emperor or like Blast DNA.
Okay. I can see that.
But that's just a theory.
A Digimon theory.
A Digimon. Quick read through the wiki theory. All right. Is it mail time? Because
it can be mail time.
I've been dying.
He's been dying, everyone.
Not to read, but to address our other listener. Because they have been leaving
The first one's Julian.
Every other listener is the other listener.
Okay.
We have a diligent listener who comments on our YouTube channel. And I'm going to shout them out now. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce it.
It's okay. Just take a swing.
Aron Mao Dante.
Does he look like this?
No.
That's Tim Curry.
The Tim Curry is back up on screen. Ian's trying to haunt my nightmares.
Home Alone 2.
Every day since we've done the last podcast, he showed me a picture of Tim Curry.
He's got very, you know why? It's because he has eyes like me, where he's like, one of my eyes is like a little bit droopy like that. And so I feel a kinship with the man.
It's not even the eyes that are creepy. It's the teeth. Oh, you know what? The eyes are very creepy.
Yeah, I mean the eyes look like mine, so don't say they're that creepy.
They're extremely creepy. That's probably why I don't look at your eyes. Good thing you're 7 feet tall.
Well, it's because it's behind my glasses, but like genuinely, like they are like pretty droopy.
I just make eye contact with your crotch.
Yeah, that's what you do. All right, so who's the other listener?
Don't make me. Aran Mao Dante has been leaving us messages on
Okay,
YouTube, which Ian refuses to check. It's his one job.
it's not my job.
It's his only job. Okay, I do all the editing. I do 99% of the talking on the podcast. I said, Ian, could you please do this one thing and check YouTube every day? And he said, no. Here we are with me checking it.
Okay, so what's he said to us?
He said a lot. I'm not going to go that far back.
Okay,
Go back to
give me a tidbit. What's this guy like? What's his political leanings? Where was he on January 6th?
this listener has lots of opinions. Love to read them. You know, they're not even that crazy. I see one comment here about Vanguard. Where's Jeremiah when you need him?
Yeah, dude, this guy's missing out.
He's commented about how I said you're more likely to have a rookie if you only run 8 as opposed to 16.
Oh, he believes in your theory.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
No. Okay. What they actually said was, well, it isn't statistically sound. I have experienced it.
Okay.
And you know what? If
Anecdotal proof is better than scientific proof.
100% of the time.
Okay.
So they've talked about their experience with that in Vanguard, which I have no knowledge of, because anytime somebody's tried to explain Vanguard to me, I
You
tune
fall
them out.
asleep, yeah.
Magic, which is semi-interesting, and Digimon, which, you know, I understand. You speak Digimon to me, I get it, okay?
That's the one you're here for.
That is like, you say something about Digimon, you say security, minus, jamming. I say, yeah, I got you, man.
You get really mad when we're on a Digimon podcast and I talk about any JRPG.
That's just because I think I don't even dislike JRPGs. You just like them so much.
No, they've just been a part of my life for like the last year. And I figured as my friend, you would want to be taking interest.
Also insane because he doesn't like turn-based battling.
No, I hate it. I hate it so much.
And it's entirely what you've been spending your time doing.
But yeah, I usually try and get through about 80 hours of JRPGs a month.
And a majority of it is just reading for you.
Yeah. We were talking about how one Trails game is the text length of the entire Animorphs franchise,
Which is 54 books.
which might be my next thing to do is read every Animorphs book.
You have so much time on your hands.
You
You could be checking the YouTube comments.
You have the exact same amount of time as me. I just am
Clearly, I do not.
I know I'm very targeted. I say, what time do you get home from work?
It depends on my work.
Give me like a standard day.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay. What time do you go to bed?
10:30.
What is stopping you from getting 5.5 hours of JRPGs in?
Eating, working out, taking care of Max, spending time with my fiance.
Okay. Engaging with media can happen while working out. Let's start there. I listen to podcasts while I work out.
You don't play a JRPG.
No,
while you're
but
working.
I'm banging through media. I'm blasting.
Okay.
So I work out and I listen to podcasts at the same time. Julia, no time at all. 0 minutes a night. I talk to her. The majority of time I talk to Julia is I write her essays about my thoughts about Xenoblade. Cooking. Okay, cooking does take a lot. Cooking takes a lot more time than I feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
I that's been the biggest change in my life over the last 6 months is like trying to cook more. Shopping for food, planning food, cooking food, cleaning after food.
I'm more likely to engage with media while cooking than I am while exercising. Because I'll just put on Netflix while I cook.
I guess I feel like it's harder for me to engage meaningfully with media while I cook. Whereas while I'm working out, I'm like, this is a purely physical activity. So I'm going to put all of my mental power into listening. So like when I talk about I'm going to read the Animorphs books, I'm thinking about swapping out podcasts for Animorphs books and just reading 5 hours of Animorphs a week until it's done.
While you swim.
I love it. The bone conduction headphones. They feel funny at first,
You're
but
going to get like Audible? You're going to listen to them?
yeah, legally, of course.
You, and I'm going to call him out here, Jeremiah,
Okay.
spend an excessive amount of time playing video games.
Yeah, I'm a gamer.
I don't know how you have the time to do it though. Jeremiah told me he spent 40 hours playing a demo of a game the other day.
Really?
I said, I didn't think you had time for that kind of.
Maybe he dropped chess.
Maybe he dropped a podcast.
Well, I'll appreciate that it is a long drive.
Yeah, again, that's more of my time out the window. I think about how many JRPGs I could be finished by now.
Yeah.
The biggest reason I don't play JRPGs is what it comes down to is I don't have time to play with myself like Ian does. Ian will spend a whole day playing with himself,
That's true.
but I want to play with other people.
Yeah, that actually is the big difference. I was talking with Julia about this earlier. You definitely engage with media being like, "Hey, I want to hang out with friends and therefore I'll do it for, 6 hours." And I often would see that and go, "Have I done something effective in these 6 hours, or do I just play Among Us with Noah?"
We've never played Among Us.
No, but the concept of Among Us. I was looking at was it Dead by Daylight, the horror multiplayer game, and I was like, I was watching a video talking about the meta of the game over the multiple seasons, and I was like, I think that if I wanted to get into this game with Noah, I thought that you might, maybe at the time when it first came out, would have probably been down to like play that and have that be a just fun experience, try it, play it, whatever, forget it. Whereas I would struggle to just be like, is this a good use of my time?
Yeah, because to me, I view video games as just a vehicle for hanging out with my friends.
Whereas I hang out with my friends, and then when I play video games, I'm like, I should give this my full attention and focus. And I usually am like trying to absorb myself into the world of the game.
I just want to like hang out, have fun with my friends. But then I hear about like you or my cousin Eric who've got checklists and things they need to accomplish. Like, you're describing a job.
Yeah.
You're describing work after work, which, don't get me wrong, I do that all the time. I like messing around like in my home lab, and I spend 4 hours trying to figure out Linux stuff. That's work after work. And sometimes when I go to bed after doing that for 4 hours, after I got home from work, where I'm messing around with other logic, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? But I don't do that nearly as often as, you say, I got to finish Trails 1. Now I got to finish Xenoblade 1. Now I got to play through all the Assassin's Creeds. Now I have to read all the Animorphs.
Yeah. Each more effective use of my time than the
Your
last.
life goal is to consume all media.
No, it's just that when I here, I'll put this succinctly. When I consume a piece of media, I often want to consume it from start to finish. So it's like, I'm never like, I want to read one Animorphs book. I'm like, would it be interesting to read all the Animorphs books and just have an opinion, an established opinion about Animorphs as a whole, as a piece of media? And I think that additive quality of consuming all of something can teach me a lot more and give me a lot more to say and talk about than just consuming one piece of media and then putting it down. And so I think that these big franchises just tend to be like, they are a time sink, but something is gleaned and gained from putting the time in.
You're going to learn not to become a bird.
I mean, listen, if there's one thing I already know about Animorphs, it's that you can't stay as a bird too long. Tobias, you got to get out of the bird form.
All right, we have other mail.
Yeah,
From the same other listener.
Oh, same other listener. Yeah, because I've seen one of their comments. Like you're going off about everything. The only reason I even brought up YouTube comments in the first place is because they came in talking about SetCon, sharing an opinion that you have already, or you've expressed already, that SetCon. I think it's wrong. They came in sharing an opinion that we've already talked about a little bit already. SetCon is not slow. The people playing against SetCon are slow. And truer words have never been spoken. And chess clocks from last week are exactly what I'm looking for. And when you talk about SetCon, dude, chess clocks are going to cook your ass. Dude, I got to take a 2-second turn. You'll take a 40-minute turn. It's over.
So what you're saying is there's not very much thinking that goes into playing Setcon.
I'm saying that oh god, it makes me so upset. I heard that opinion shared at my local recently again, and if you listen, other listener, if you have not played, I know this other listener has, but other listeners, if you've not played Setcon before and you truly think that it's a deck that does not require a lot of thought, or is an expression I've heard it said is it's just luck. Whatever ends up in security, it's a gamble. Play the deck. The difference between playing Setcon right and wrong is a big, big difference. And the difference of building Setcon set by set is huge. It is not a static body deck. So I think that you actually will learn a lot about the game if you give it a genuine effort and try and open yourself up to the idea of a new mode of play.
All right, you have to make up your mind. Either Setcon players
Are smart.
And they take a lot of time thinking out their plays, or it's a brain dead deck and they take no time making their plays. Choose one. They're mutually exclusive.
Yeah, okay, I can get behind this.
Which one?
Which one is it?
Yeah.
I think that Setcon players are smart.
So they take a lot of time thinking out their plays.
They spend a lot of time.
Setcon is what's slow.
Setcon are smart and they take a lot of time thinking about their plays. Thankfully, playing out their plays is fast.
All right. I think playing out any plays is fast, but whatever.
Not for purple players.
Put down
We got fucking 18 effects to go through.
Yeah, but those are each play you do, you play out quickly, but you just have to go throughout a lot of plays.
Okay.
What you're expressing is Setcon takes a lot of time to think through, but your turns are quick still.
Yep.
Or the actual time when you're making actions during your turn are quick. But there's a lot of downtime while you think about which one card you want to play.
Yeah, exactly. The number of actions you have to take is small, but there is a lot of decision making that goes into choosing the right action.
Right. But, I think I've adjusted before, but saying Setcon isn't what's slow, it's the people playing against it. You can't deny your contribution to the problem.
Of course.
It's like the first tournament I played in when I just kept nidhogging everyone's board and then not swinging with the nidhogg and being like, no. And I kept tying. And my Mark was like, how are you tying so much? I'm like, well, because I like getting rid of their stuff so they can't do anything. But then I also don't do anything. That's basically Setcon in a nutshell. It's not, but what I'm saying is it's contributing to the slow pace of the game.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying is a bad thing.
Setcon players are a contributing factor to timeouts and slower play, and that's undeniable. They're definitely a factor. In fact, it's one of the biggest arguments against a chess clock being a perfectly fair system, because influencing the pace of the match does not necessarily mean you are taking up the majority of playtime. That said, Setcon is based. And other listener, you are based. We'll try and keep an eye out for your message.
I have actually shouted out this listener a long time ago when I said they left a comment that said, can't wait for your next episode. And then the next episode, 0 views.
Well, hold on. This is because YouTube is really not our place to shine. Aaron, we very much appreciate your comments and keep leaving them wherever you're comfortable with. But to be honest, YouTube is our least viewed platform, to the point that I think we've missed uploading an episode to it that me and Noah are going to have to talk about it.
Well, I don't know how we miss it. I'm new to podcasts.
Yeah.
But the idea is that you upload to a thingy and then it uploads to all the thingies.
Yeah, like a centralized hoster.
Right. So I don't go through each platform and post. It's just supposed to be like a podcast hub that uploads to each one.
It might just be like hidden. I might have to like unlock it on our profile.
Also, you called out YouTube, but I have never once checked Apple.
Which is actually bad, because I'm pretty sure that Apple Podcasts is the #1 podcast app still.
You know what? I'm going to kill our sponsorship deal with Apple. I'm anti-Apple.
It's so bad. I know. It's actually like, it's crazy to me that people use it for, well, I'll just say for podcasts, but like just iTunes as a whole as a program, so bad.
Mac OS as a whole, stinky.
There you go.
Linux is the truth, everyone. If you want to fight the robot overlords, you have to learn command line on Linux. I'll tell you that right now.
All right. Well, I think that we're gonna probably wrap it up there. Our little stint talking about keywords in the Digimon trading card game. Definitely definitely can foresee us getting further and further into playing to field as a goal for Bandai. Hopefully it is not achieved with quite as much usage of the word can't.
And I want to express the excitement I have for Ice Suit. Obviously, as a
Ice Suit's great.
As a big fan of Ice Digimon, but also just cool, new, interesting keywords are exciting.
I was really excited to see Fortitude. I'm a little bit sad that it is another effect that is like pretty dependent on deletion, because there is removal that is not deletion that like can pretty heavily circumvent it. Which I'm a little bit saddened by. I'm like, I kind of want more of these keywords to be like specifically calling out bounce bottom deck DP minus. Well, DP minus I'm more okay with, but bounce bottom deck.
If Fortitude said when this Digimon would be bounced and it has sources played out, but it didn't happen with deletion, then it would suck because deletion is the most prevalent form of
I think what I really want is I want more cards to say when this card would be removed from play except by your own effect.
So no counterplay to it then.
Yeah, I hate counterplay. No, I mean, part of the benefit of a card like that is you're saying, okay, you can see what the benefit to me is when you remove it. So controlling when and how you remove it is a question, but you can't just circumvent the entire benefit of the card by just being like, oh, I'm playing blue, so I'll bounce it to hand.
I'll just strip all the sources and then bounce it to hand.
Yeah, that does help.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Errata Sonata podcast. You can reach us at erratasonatapodcast@gmail.com if you'd like to send us an email. You can find us on Twitter at Errata Sonata. That is at Errata Sonata. You can leave a comment on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast. We will check it this time. We will continue to read your comments after the episode.
As a quick notice, if you want us to read your Apple Podcast, just because I've heard it's very helpful, please leave us a 5-star review. If you think we are a 2-star podcast, leave a 5-star review. If you think you are a 5-star podcast, email Apple personally. Say, Mr. Apple, what's his name? Tim Cook?
Tim Cook.
Tim Cook, Mr. Cook, let them cook. Please push us to the front of the homepage.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Errata Sonata.